Welcome to Spark Starter, the podcast dedicated to sharing inspirational stories. Welcome to Spark Starter, the podcast dedicated to sharing stories that ignite female entrepreneurs into action. I'm your host, Elizabeth Goede, and I'm here to fan the flame of your entrepreneurial spirit. Each week, we bring to you the inspiring stories of women trailblazers from around the world who have sparked change in their industries, powered their ideas into thriving businesses, and pioneered their way to success. So whether you're an aspiring entrepreneur, a startup enthusiast, or a seasoned business leader, join us as we delve into the journeys of these incredible women whose tales will surely ignite a spark in each one of us. Today, we have a very special guest joining us on Spark Starter, someone who embodies the spirit of igniting change and soaring to new heights as a woman entrepreneur. Monique Pearson is the founder and CEO of Soaring Without Limits Enterprises, where she is dedicated to assisting women in elevating, expanding, and exploring their mindset. Monique brings a wealth of diverse experiences to her work. She is a veteran, an avid traveler, the founder of the charity organization Professionista, an author, a transformational speaker, and the recipient of the prestigious Presidential Lifetime Achievement Award. Through her company, Monique is on a mission to empower women to break through limits and achieve their full potential in business and in life. She understands firsthand the unique challenges that women entrepreneurs face, and she is passionate about providing the mindset strategies and support to help them soar. Monique is joining us today to share her inspiring journey and lessons she's learned along the way. And I'm so excited to have you here. Monique, thank you so much for joining us.
Well, thank you so much, Elizabeth, for having me. I'm excited to be here today.
So, Monique, gosh, when you do research and people give you information on their background, I have to be honest, the presidential award is certainly not one that I've, the Presidential Lifetime Achievement Award is certainly not one that I've run across before. And if it's okay with you, can we start there with how you received that award and a little bit more about that?
Yes, so the Presidential Lifetime Achievement Award is awarded to U.S. citizens who have served in a volunteer capacity a minimum of 3,000 hours in your lifetime. So I was nominated as part of a recent speaking engagement that I was a part of, the Sean Fair Leadership Experience Tour this past March in Detroit, and 3 of us were awarded for our philanthropic efforts. So that is something that I definitely take great pride in, being one who was raised that to whom much is given, much is required. So volunteer work has always been a part of my life for as long as I can remember.
Oh gosh, I love that. It's funny when you hear the word lifetime, right? You look at yourself and you look so young, and I'm like, lifetime, like, are we ready for lifetime awards yet? I mean, 3,000 hours though of volunteerism is nothing to shake a stick at. I mean, that's a lot of time given. That's more than a year of full-time work.
Right.
So what have been the types of things that you have sort of donated, since we're going down this path, where you volunteered?
Well, there's been a couple. One that I can definitely recall that I truly enjoyed was the Dress for Success program, where I served as a professional dresser. So we had women who came in who were victims of domestic violence, sex trafficking, what have you, that were just down on their luck. And at this point in life, they were getting back on their feet and they needed professional attire in order to get back into the workforce to look the part. But more importantly, they needed someone to be able to invest in them and let them know you are worthy, you deserve to be here, to applaud them for surviving some of the atrocious atrocities that they may have faced in their lifetime, and just to know that there's someone here who's supporting them. So that was a pleasure for me to be able to invest in that way. One, helping with their resumes, helping with interview tips, as well as pouring into them as they and helping them to pick out the professional attire. And that was the motivation for me starting Professionista, which is my own version of the Dress for Success program. There wasn't an option for that in Philadelphia a couple of years ago when I started Professionista. That was local chapter. So it was placed on my spirit to start one myself. So it was a grassroots organization. I let my inner network know that I wanted to play it forward in this way and did clothing drives. This is like during the pandemic. So all I can do at that time was to collect clothing, professional attire. So I collected clothing for 2 years. Once we were able to start opening up as far as the society, I was able to connect with social services there, and they started a clothing closet, which opened up an opportunity for the local inner city Philadelphia community to be able to come in and receive that clothing. And in addition, I had 20 women in my personal circle who served as informal mentors, and there are various professional entities who poured into these women as well. So that is what sparked the motivation and how Professionista came to be.
Oh my gosh, Monique. I mean, what a heart of gold do you have? Holy moly. And especially during the pandemic, you're like, listen, I'm not going to sit back and let things go. I'm going to be preparing for what everyone's going to need when the world opens back up, which I love. So it's been interesting the last few episodes. I seem to keep having all these veterans on, which I love. I mean, it wasn't on purpose. It's one of the pillars of things that we certainly support from Ratliff Consulting, which is the business that I'm actually founder and president of. We certainly give back to the military, and I have a long-standing relationship with the military. I'm married to a veteran. My dad's a veteran. All of my grandfathers were veterans. So can you tell me a little bit, just a little peek into your military background?
Oh, sure. So I joined the United States Army straight out of high school. One, I knew that I wanted to be able to travel and see the world. That was something that I've known since 10 years old, that was something I wanted to do. The military afforded that, as well as a career, so that I can have time to mature and figure out what I wanted to do with the rest of my life. So I had a very interesting specialty background. My specialty is ammunition, missiles, and weapons. So that was what my job was. So that took me, I was in for 8.5 years. It took me to Korea, took me to Germany, took me pretty much around the world in that 8.5 years, and gave me a lot of valuable lessons as it pertains to leadership and strength and resilience. And one being, I think, which has equipped me to what I'm doing now, working with women who predominantly serve or operate in male-dominated spaces, as to how you can maneuver that successfully. Learning how to do so at 18 years old, and 20, 21, 22, 23, being a supervisor of 40 individuals. And for the most part, these individuals are twice your age. So there were some unique skills and lessons learned that I learned in that 8.5 years. So that is how my military journey began. And I continued on forth from there, as far as being a contractor working in the Middle East, in Iraq, and in Kuwait, in that same capacity as the ammunition handler. And then, of course, transitioning that experience to Department of Defense as well, in the armaments field.
It's really interesting. I actually have a very good friend who does a lot of supporting and is really involved in the women in defense organization, which I love the fact that there are all these organizations popping up that are actually celebrating and supporting and showing like, hey, there are other women here. I think I can really resonate with that also because I've supported and worked in tech for most of my career. So we're certainly a minority still in that space as well. So
Yes.
I love that background. I love all these things that all the skills that you've been given and being able to sort of parlay that and transition that into the business that you do now. I mean, incredible.
Mhm.
So
I don't think a lot of us realize that as far as the early years help to prepare you for your latter. Of course, we're not conscious of it then, but I mean, you quickly draw upon those skills and talents once you start to embark upon a new chapter in life. So yes.
yeah, absolutely. I think that was a really good point that you sort of reiterated is, I think we were talking in the studio before we came out here, and I was sort of talking about how women don't necessarily take a straight line. It's like,
Mhm.
we very rarely do we sort of set out and say, oh, I'm gonna do this thing and decide from, whatever elementary, middle school, whatever, and go all the way through and actually implement that. And especially when we look at female entrepreneurs, because I think what's really interesting about women is I think we're really good at identifying opportunity, right? We're really
Mhm.
good at identifying sort of the white space. And I think the other thing that we don't always listen to, but I think we have intuitively, is this idea of intuition, right? It's like this thing that's like, well, your own personal even intuition, right? Of like what you do really well. And so I love hearing your story about having gone through the military and, sort of develop these skills and in realizing the fact that you're looking around to your left and your right and saying, hey, there aren't a lot of people, working in missiles and weapons technology as I travel the world with the military.
Right. Mhm.
So when we talk
Yeah.
about soaring, oh yeah, go ahead.
Oh no, I'm listening.
So when we talk about soaring without limits and we sort of talk about this, elevating, expanding, and exploring mindsets, can you
Mhm.
talk a little bit about um, leaving the military? So you said, I think that you were in about 8.5 years, something like that. So from the time you
Yeah.
left the military, did you immediately start soaring without limits, or did you do something in between?
Oh no, actually, I am a late bloomer to the entrepreneurial realm. Soaring Without Limits Enterprises started in 2021, the same time that I started Professionista. And it
Okay.
started as a result of the pandemic, me having all of that time on my hands and realizing that I was not fulfilled with how life was presently playing out for me. And I felt like I can do more, make more of an impact, and I wanted to take the skills that I already had and be able to use those for the greater good of other women. But to go back to your question, after I got out of the military, I actually started contracting overseas in the Middle East. So I did that for several years. And then I started on with the Department of Defense. So I started with the government probably in 2010. Yeah, so that was the trajectory for me. And then not until 2021 did I start Soaring Without Limits Enterprises.
So, I mean, just I'm thinking about all the incredible opportunities in knowledge that you must have gained in all those different types of moves. I mean, even contracting in the Middle East, you would have been almost on like the business side of things, which I think probably like, filled out that piece of your bucket. And then working with the government, and Department of Defense. I mean, you got some big skills in your toolbox.
Yes, I feel like I've had several lives in my 40 plus years. I truly do feel like I've had different pockets of various experiences, which gives me a lot to pull from when I'm working with different women from different cultures, ethnicities, backgrounds. I feel like there's something that I can relate to them with on at least one point. So that definitely parlayed as far as having the vast different experiences that I've been able to have is makes it very useful when you're dealing with communities and different types of women.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So let's talk a little bit more. I love the fact that you say you're a late bloomer because I would say that you just have an extra maturity into your business. And I say maturity not in the way that people, it's not like in the geriatric way, but in the way of
Right.
building out all these sophisticated skills, right, to then bring to your business. So, what is the relationship still? I mean, I know you sort of started them at the same time, but
Mhm.
Professionista, and Soaring Without Limits, how did those two
Mhm.
play together or not, I guess? What's the relationship?
I would say that they don't play together if I were to look at it as far as the business structure. It's definitely the future intent to connect those two and to turn Professionista into a nonprofit and make that the Swole Foundation. And then add on, in addition to just being of service to the women, I would like to start with teenagers and young girls and be able to have mentorship services to them and offer scholarships. So that is the plan, to be able to marry those two within the next couple of years via nonprofit Swole Foundation. But as it pertains right now, they're two separate entities.
Okay. And I was going to ask you about the nonprofit status. So thank you for answering that. It sounds like that's still evolving. And so mainly are you more so just taking physical donations and sort of supporting from there versus taking financial donations? Is that sort of the separation, or you're just
Right.
taking it as a taxable entity?
Right. I'm not dealing with any monies. One, because I was like, yeah, I'm definitely going to keep away from that until I'm able to get the official structure, the board, everything as it pertains to standing up and being recognized as an official nonprofit. So right now it's just registered as a charity organization for the state of Pennsylvania at this time.
Well, I mean, I think that that says a lot, right? I mean, you're not going to let any bureaucracy or anything stand in your way. At the end of the day, you're going to make these dreams happen for these women and help them, get a better life. So I think that says a lot about you and where your intent is by the fact that, you're willing to sort of slow it down and sort of do it in a way that you can still make the biggest impact and not let these other things hold you back. So kudos for taking that step and serving that population of women. So when we think about the Soaring Without Limits
Mhm.
business, so you're supporting women here, you're helping with mindset and helping them sort of explore and expand. So can you tell me a little bit about the types of services that you offer within Soaring Without Limits? Is this well, why don't you just explain that?
Yeah, so Soaring Without Limits Enterprises, I just affectionately coined it as SWOL, which is our acronym, started again in 2021. And initially, it started as just a travel agency because I knew that travel was my passion and I knew that is what I knew inside and out, what I can do well. And I was already doing it for 20 years, serving as the unofficial travel planner, coordinator for friends, families, and what have you. So I was like, I wanted to be able to take these skills and help the masses, help more women be able to get out and see the world. But I think what I failed to realize then is that it was deeper than travel. I ended up being an unofficial coach, so to speak, working with these ladies. I felt like first I had to plow and get through the fears, the apprehensions, the no's, just to even get to the point that we can even start talking about seeing the world. I had to be able to get them past themselves. So,
Mm.
as pretty much as part of that role, I unofficially became a mentor and a coach in that capacity. So, serving strictly in the travel space for that first year and a half, I then expanded and launched my first book, Take That Trip Girl, the Ultimate Bucket List Journal, sharing some of those mental thought processes steps that I work with the clients one on one, and getting people to be able to overcome their self imposed limitations, those fears, and all of those apprehensions that we place upon ourselves. And most times, as women, we are at the bottom of our priority list. So I
Yeah.
wanted to make them feel comfortable that it is okay to give yourself a break. It is okay for you to invest in you and not feel guilty for doing so. And as of recently, when the mindset coach, I was like, okay, I want to be able to expand upon this.
Mm.
So as of July 1st, I will be launching my newest community, the Triple E Tribe, which stands for Elevate, Expand, and Explore, where we're doing that mindset work. And I'm partnering with some of my thought leaders in their respective fields, as far as leadership, professional leadership, corporate coaching, wellness coaching. I'll have a therapist. I want to have a holistic approach as to helping women to show up as their highest selves. So that
Wow.
is where we are evolving to now as it pertains to Swole.
I love that sort of 360 type of collection of experts that you have that you're bringing in here. I love to hear sort of the passion driver and like how that evolution happened, right? So you have like a passion for travel, you've done all travel. It's like Dan Sullivan always talks about it's sort of like your center of excellence versus your unique ability, right? So your center of excellence certainly was like being the travel agent, and it always makes sense. So we always lean into that center of excellence, right? It's like that place that we do really, really well. We do it without even thinking about it. And then to look at, hey, like maybe there's a little bit more here, like all these other things that I need to support, and then sort of how you evolved. Incredible, incredible. I love this idea, this organization, and community that you're starting, and I'm so excited to hear how that goes and follow along, and maybe we can have you back after that community is in full swing, and you can report back on what you're finding there.
Oh,
So
wonderful.
Monique, yeah. So when we talk about women-owned businesses,
Mhm,
women-owned businesses at all different stages, right? We have them as solopreneurs, and we have them as more sophisticated, sophisticated entities.
mhm.
When you look at having your business, and since it's been fairly new for you, what would you say has been the most difficult thing about having your business?
One, I think the hurdle that I had to conquer that first year two, is that I was capable of doing it. From
Mm,
switching from employee mindset to one being solely responsible for the success or the failure of an entity, never having any experience to parlay or pull from, I think that was a struggle for me. I was
yeah.
well at being an employee and following set guidelines and SOPs, but far as making the rules for myself, that was a struggle. I would say that I had to overcome. And as I continued to work the business and continue to grow and then continue to hear feedback, I was like, okay, that was affirming that you can do this. So I think that was the biggest hurdle that I had to overcome, was myself.
Mm. Yeah, it's so much truth in that little short snippet there. So it's easy for, well, I shouldn't say easy, but a lot of us, it's really easy for us to identify the things that were hard, right? Because they're the things that stick with us. They're the things that drive us forward. A lot of times they're the things that we work the hardest at to like figure out how to solve for. But what we sometimes don't take the time to do is to actually celebrate like our successes, right? Like what's gone really, really well. So when you sit back and you're doing the reflection on your business, like what are those things that stand out to you that you think, gosh, like that was amazing.
I would say when I hear clients come back to me and tell me um, that they did not believe or see that it was possible for them. And once we were able to work together
Mhm.
and they were able to accomplish those goals, those dreams that they were doubting and fighting me on tooth and nail, that it wasn't possible, and to see them come through on the other side and to
Yeah.
give themselves that praise and adoration. I'm just like a proud mom, like, oh, that is what I do this for. That is what brings me joy, to be able to see people believe in themselves. And sometimes you have to stand in the gap for them before they can do it for themselves. And once they're able to do that, that is what brings me joy.
Oh my gosh, I love that. And I think that really, I mean, it's obviously a core value for you because you're giving back left and right everywhere. So people certainly are your red thread, of helping make them the best that they can be of themselves, which is incredible. So, the one thing I think that we also, when we have our businesses, we sometimes are like, where did that come from, or how did that happen, right? We have these surprises that happen in our business.
Mhm.
And when you look back at sort of, the last whatever, 4 years ish that you've had your business, what would you say has been the biggest surprise, the thing you weren't expecting?
One, to venture into public speaking. Being a
Mm,
woman who has been shy her entire life, who hated being in front of people, who hated speaking, who would do anything that she could to hide in the background, to be here before you today, to speak on podcasts, to speak on stages, to now go and speak on summits. That was the biggest surprise to me. And that goes back into what I was stating earlier, that sometimes others see potential or see that you're greater. Gifts are laying beneath the surface before you can. And I recall at least three occasions, three people told me that they can see me doing this, where I fought them like, no, I can't, no, I can't, no, I can't. And so to me, that is probably the biggest surprise, is that this is now entered into my portfolio and being a public speaker.
I did not see that coming. I would never have known that you were shy. I mean, you've been so eloquent, and certainly knowing that you're a speaker, that's an incredible little surprise, even out of this interview. Um, how incredible that you had, the people whispering in your ear to tell you what a gift you had that you didn't even know you had, which is this voice, being able to come through. So that's amazing. I love it. So Monique, what is so with uh, with Soaring Without Limits, enterprises, and with Professionista, how can people get involved in that? How can people, reach out to you if they want to get in touch?
So my website is www.soaringwolimits.com. You can subscribe there to be a part of our mailing list to see what our new latest offerings are. And then far as for the new community, as I stated, that will be July 1st. So joining there in my social media platforms, Monique Pearson and Soaring Without Limits Enterprises. You can definitely stay tuned there for the information to join the masterclass, which will give you the overview of the upcoming community, which will be launching on July 1st.
Gosh, so exciting to have this. And again, for any future listeners, that is July 1st of 2024. And what an exciting time to get involved with Monique, when you can be there on the ground floor. So I do encourage you to go out to our website, get signed up, and make sure that you can be there for when this launches. So, Monique, one question that I ask every single guest that comes on the show, because this, of course, is a show that we are trying to inspire women to start and build big businesses. And so I always ask every guest for one word or a short phrase of what you would tell a woman who's looking to start her business or grow her business bigger. What would be that one little bit of advice or encouragement?
I would say for those women who are more seasoned in life, those who are 45 plus, who has held long held dreams and have these aspirations of being a business owner and now feel that it is too late. I want to share with them that delayed is not denied. And share with them all of those who have started later in life, as we look at Colonel Sanders, as we look at Martha Stewart. Time and time again, we have so many examples of people who many will quote per se, stated that it's too late for them and that they can't start. And I just want to encourage them to that it's never too late to live out your dream. And me being a witness who had started a business, I was 45. So that's why it's like it is never too late. And I encourage you to live out that dream and feel that satisfaction and being able to show that you can make this happen. And not only for you, but for your legacy and for your children to be able to be inspired that mom, she was able to do this and still be able to show up as a parent. I just encourage them to take a chance on themselves.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful, Monique. And I couldn't echo that sentiment more. It's never too late to start something new, especially when it's that thing that feeds that passion and your sense of purpose. I love that sentiment. Thank you so much for sharing that. And is there anything else, Monique, that we didn't talk about today that you feel like would be really helpful for any other woman who is at sort of this stage, right? They're thinking about starting a business. They've started a business and they're looking to scale. What else,
Mhm.
what other insights might you have that you think would be important for them to know?
One, a coach should always have a coach.
Mm,
Even people such as highly successful as Oprah still have people who pour into them and cover those blind spots that they may not see. So I definitely would encourage them and to not walk that journey alone because you don't have to. One, there's so many different resources out here. Score.org, which is a free resource for SBA
yep,
that you can get
right.
mentorship. The NASDAQ Milestone Circle Center, which is another free resource for women entrepreneurs. I'm a
Mm,
graduate of that program as another entity. And then, far as investing in coaching itself,
mm.
which I'm definitely a strong proponent of, that you must invest in yourself before you can expect anyone else to invest in your business. So, for those who may be playing it short or holding the purse strings a little tight, I definitely say it is well worth the investment, and you will see a return on your investment by investing in yourself and your business more than threefold by being willing to make sure that you have that stable foundation and to allow someone who's already went down that path and that journey before you to be the clear way for you.
Monique, you remind me in that wonderful advice that I fully support. So one of my favorite quotes is tripping over dollars to pick up pennies. And
I
I
like
think that
that.
that's exactly what happens when we don't actually take the time and realize that we need to have our skills honed. So like we need to sharpen our axe and have that done. And that will open the doors for us. And in scarcity mindset will never build additional money. It will actually suppress you and hold you back. And I love that sentiment because it feels like it's an encouragement for people to like expand their minds and think bigger and get excited about building a big business, right? Like take it from being
Yeah.
sort of like that side hustle thing that you're doing to like pay for your family to go on vacation and think about building it as an actual business that you're going to have assets in. So I
Yeah.
love that. Thank you so much for all this wisdom that you've provided to all of our guests today, Monique. It's been an absolute delight having you here today. And thank you to all of our listeners who have joined us as well today on the Spark Starter podcast. It's been a pleasure bringing you the uniquely inspiring stories that ignite female entrepreneurs into action. I've been your host, Elizabeth Goede, and on behalf of all the awe-inspiring women entrepreneurs out there, I encourage you to not only dream big, but to ignite those dreams into action. Remember, every spark can lead to an extraordinary fire. So keep the spark alive for today, tomorrow, and the vibrant future beyond. Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast to never miss a spark. Until next time, stay ignited.